welcome to another episode of the movie review show on Blades Boy Videos. What's the movie review show? Well, let me tell you. Basically, every weekend I watch the hottest releases to come out in the UK and then come back home, lay it on tape for you guys, edit it together with a couple of pictures and upload it onto YouTube. So this weekend I watched Grimsby, Secret in Their Eyes, and I watched 999. Actually, I didn't watch 999. I was fortunate enough to watch a secret screening of 999 a couple of weeks ago, and now, upon its release in the USA, I feel it's appropriate to talk about it. So let's get started. So, Grimsby. It's directed by Louis Leterrier. Sorry if I mispronounced that. He also directed the first two Transporters, the ones with Jason Statham. He did Unleashed, which I thought was a brilliant original movie, and he also did Now You See Me. It stars Sacha Baron Cohen, who plays Nobby, a character from a working class background with around 11 children at my last count. I think he's supposed to be a football hooligan, but really he's a football idiot. He pulls jokes from vulgarity and stupidity, which mostly fall flat. I spent the movie wishing that Sacha had restored his earlier British working class character Ali G for this movie. It also stars Mark Strong, who plays Agent Sebastian Butcher. He started off this movie really strong as a sort of Ethan Hunt stroke James Bond secret spy. His action scenes worked really well and were really well shot for about the first half of the movie. After then, this character kind of becomes a bit pathetic. Isla Fisher stars as Margaret, who works for the MI6 as Sebastian's eyes within the organisation. Her scenes give the movie a sense of grounded realism, as opposed to the other part of the story, which becomes stupidity and not grounded in the slightest. Penelope Cruz is also in this flick. She stars as Rhonda George, who is an actress determined to cure the world. And finally, Rebel Wilson stars in this film as Lindsay, who is Nobby's missus. And I'm really starting to repel against Rebel. In the last two movies I've seen her in, this one and How to Be Single, she has been in the movie to service one thing, and that's fat jokes. She almost seems to be saying, laugh at me because I'm fat. And I really don't appreciate that type of humour. I find it to be pretty dumb, to be honest. So the story is about two brothers who, after their parents' death, are sent to an orphanage at a very young age. When Nobby hears that a family only wants to adopt his younger brother Sebastian, they become separated. 28 years later, Sebastian becomes an MI6 spy and Nobby becomes a benefit-scrounging breeder. They are then reunited when Nobby, as an idiot, sets off a series of events that tarnish Sebastian's reputation and leave them on the run in an attempt to save the world. So as you can gather, the plot is pretty basic. The humour seems to be either look at me I'm stupid or look at me I'm fat type humour. There were some good laughs. However, Nobby's children have a really good scene about midway through the film in the second act, which is then repeated and ruined later in the movie at the very end. Working class UK is portrayed as idiotic slobs, which, although is the consensus, it is also fantasised and slightly offensive, coming from somebody who grew up in working class UK. The vulgarity and cheap jokes really do start to take its toll, and I don't really like this movie. I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10, and that's only because I did laugh at some points, and I thought the earlier action scenes were really good and almost highlighted later on in the movie how bad this movie becomes. When will I rewatch it? When I am highly intoxicated, preferably in the distant future, Satya, I really enjoy Borat. Thank you for that, but please stop making your own movies. So moving on then. Secret in Their Eyes. It's directed by Billy Ray, who also directed Breach and Shattered Glass. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor, who absolutely kills it in this movie. He stars as Ray Caston, a character that has wasted the best part of the last 13 years obsessing over the rape and murder of his colleague's daughter when he was an FBI investigator. His character has fantastic development and a great character arc. There is one scene where he is the first to see the body. He then has to walk across the room to the girl's unaware mother. This is a fantastic tracking shot. The emotion on Chiwetel's face is incredible. It almost brought a tear to my eye. Chiwetel, I doff my cap, good sir. Julia Roberts also stars in this movie as Jessica Cobb, the mother of the murdered daughter. The movie shows two timelines, the events leading up to the murder, to the point of the criminal's release, and then 13 years later, when the case is reopened, and the difference in the 13 years of Jessica Cobb is incredible. Her age looks to have doubled, and she literally becomes a shadow of her former self. Nicole Kidman stars as Claire Sloan, who professionally makes the greatest strides in the movie, being a new starter at the beginning to being a district attorney 13 years later. She does a good job in the role and is very believable as the character. The plot focuses on two timelines. 13 years ago when the crime takes place, and then today when Ray Caston believes he has found the criminal responsible for the death of Jessica Cobb's murder, after they completely lost eyes on him once he was released. The movie, however, works on multiple different levels. Below the surface, we can see these fantastic portrayals of human characters and how they cope with the fact that 13 years ago they had to watch a monster walk away for the good of another case. I had to sleep on this movie. When I left the theatre, I was confused on what was past and present tense. The characters do a great way of visually telling us what age their characters are, but it left me as the audience member searching for grey hairs or reference points rather than actually just watching the movie. It would have been interesting to see the past shot in film and the present shot in digital for that very subtle difference in cinematography for the period of years. The acting in this movie is stellar. From start to finish, it was believable, and you could tell that they all cared about this movie. Nobody was phoning in. It ends on a really good point as well. For a moment, I thought it was going to flop at the end. I was really worried about how they were just going to tie the bow at the end, but instead, I felt the ending was very satisfied and was the best that they could have done it. So, what do I rate Secret in Their Eyes? 8 out of 10. Yesterday, if I would have done this immediately after watching the movie, I'd have given it a 7. But after mulling it over and how it all ties together, definitely 8 out of 10 for me. Rewatchability, I look forward to watching this film in a year. Once it's out on Blu-ray. I'm not immediately going to get my hands on it, but I will be introducing people to it, as I think a lot of people will like this movie. So, a couple of weeks ago, I got the opportunity to watch a special screening of 999, and now, upon its release in the USA, I feel it's appropriate to review it. So it's directed by John Hillcoat, who also directed The Road and Lawless, two very good movies. It stars Casey Affleck as Chris Allen, who is a rookie but a good cop thrown in the middle of a group of corrupt officers. Chiwetel Ejiofor as Michael Atwood, who is ultimately the leader of this group of corrupt officers and their link to the Russian mafia. Anthony Mackie stars as Marcus Belmont, who is the corrupt officer forced to partner up with newbie Chris Allen. Aaron Paul is in this movie. He stars as Gabe Welsh, who plays the vulnerable and drug-abusing Achilles heel of the group. Woody Harrelson stars as Jeffrey Allen, an old-school cop who may not be completely clean, but he is wise and a trustworthy cop. Kate Winslet as Irina Vyacheslav, a Russian mafia representative, and Norman Reedus as Russell Welch, brother of Gabe. So the story focuses, as I've mentioned before, on a group of corrupt police officers as they fall in deep with the Russian mafia. They need to pull off an impossible heist. The only way they can do it is by causing themselves a distraction that is over 10-11 minutes. So in order to do that, they stage a 999, which is a code for Officer Down. I really wanted to love this movie. I wanted to come here and say it's the 2016 answer to Training Day, but I simply can't. With all the stuff going on, the stellar cast, the movie ended pretty boring. It seemed to be going in far too many directions at once, and ultimately had far too many characters to follow. It was far longer than it needed to be, and although the cast themselves were fantastic and the movie was very well shot, the story was unfortunately a drag. If I'm going to rate the movie, I'm devastated to say this, but I'm going to say a 6.5 out of 10. And it gets the 6.5 points because there are scenes that are great. There's a scene where, right at the beginning, you'll have seen it in the trailer, they've robbed this box, a security deposit box. They open it and it's got powder spraying out, covering themselves in red, spraying out of the car, they're trying to get away. That is a very good scene and the cast are brilliant. It's just too boring, simply. So it gets a 6.5 out of 10, and I'll rewatch it when it eventually comes on TV in about 18 months to 2 years time to see if my opinions have changed. So there we go, that was the movie review show. This is the point where I plug one of my earlier videos. So please click here if you would like to see Deadpool, or at least my review of Deadpool. This particular review is a special. It includes a non-spoiler section at the beginning and a spoiler section at the end, because let's face it, everyone has seen Deadpool, and if you haven't seen Deadpool, just go watch Deadpool. Like, even if you don't like it, go watch it to find out why everybody else likes it. Also, if you like what I'm doing here and you enjoy my reviews, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, like the video. If you didn't like the video, just don't like the video. Catch me next week for more movie review shows. And until then, you've been awesome. I hope I've been awesome. Till next time, catch you later.